I think the relevance of us being people-centered, human-centered, looking for opportunities, looking for how we can solve problems, how we can apply our mindset, our way of thinking to coming up with new answers is really, really important right now. And wherever we are in the rank of organizational life, we all have a contribution to make.
Expanding possibilities, the Mindset Zone.
I'm your host, Anna Melikian, and before we start with today's show, please remember to visit mindset.zone. Yes, instead of .com, it's .zone. There you can find all the episodes and other amazing resources, all at mindset.zone. Today, our special guest is Natalie Turner. She's an international speaker on innovation and an experienced leadership development expert, voted by the CMO Asia and the World Federation of Marketing and Sustainability as one of the top 50 female leaders in Asia, where she lived for more than 10 years. Now she lives in Portugal, my country of origin, and she's also an award-winning author of Yes, You Can Innovate, and the creator of the 6 Eyes of Innovation. So welcome to the Mindset Zone, Natalie.
Thank you, Anna, and it's delightful to be here.
Yes, and I had the opportunity to read your book, and I really fascinating how you bring all your experience, because you work in the corporate world for a while and internally in organizations and then as a consultant, and you have international experience from Asia to the Western world. And about your life work is about helping organizations build a culture and the capabilities on innovation and how to innovate. So I'm really curious for you to share with us your definition of innovation.
It's wonderful, isn't it? I mean, when we Google the word innovation, we'll often get like millions or billions of hits as to what innovation means. And there are many, many definitions. So my definition, which is, I think, both simple but quite broad in a sense as well, purposefully, is that innovating is coming up with something valuable out of an idea that is new to you. So generating value out of new ideas, ultimately. And if we unpack this a little bit, we have value. We need to create something. It's not just about being creative. It's actually the act of taking something that is a creative idea into the world. So, and not just anything, but something that's going to actually give some sort of value. And that could be new products. It could be new services or new ways of working, new processes, systems. So it's not just about product innovation either, or R&D. It's really in the broader sense. And I think the other aspect is that it's out of an idea that's new to you. We know that lots of ideas are not new to the world. They are combinations of different ideas that are put together to create something of value. So that's how I define it, really thinking about value creation out of those new ideas, which comes from our creative mind.
Love it. And I really also was very interesting when in the foreword of the book by Professor John Besant, how do you say his last name?
Yeah.
Very interesting, because he begins with the innovation that in the English language we use both as a noun and as a verb. So I also found that very interesting. I never had thought about it. And the thing in this evolving world, everything is changing so fast that we just to stay afloat, we have to keep creating value, like you are describing, with new ideas, or with the recreation of ideas to new places and new environments. But we have to keep this going, this reinvention and innovation going. And companies, I think, they are feeling the need to keep at the edge because just the status quo doesn't work. And I think because in the way that you see innovation is something that is not just the cutting edge companies that they have to worry about. It's not just software companies that they have to worry about. In your view of the world, I think is vital for any company that wants to keep growing. They have to be focused on innovation. Can you tell us a little bit more about it?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that, like you say, we are going through a rapid change, and it seems to be speeding up even more. So our ability, in a sense, I like to think of innovating as the verb. In a way, it's our survival skill, really, and it always has been. If we think of human history, it's always been people that are doing new things, that are always moving us forward. And now more than ever, I think that we need innovation in all sorts of walks of life, in all types of organizational life, not just in the business world, but in politics and in science and in business. Generally, it's not just about sort of commercial innovation. I think, the relevance of us being people-centered, human-centered, looking for opportunities, looking for how we can solve problems, how we can apply our mindset, our way of thinking to coming up with new answers is really, really important right now. And wherever we are in the rank of organizational life, we all have a contribution to make. And I think I like to sort of think about it as 3 Ps, if you like, that we innovate on purpose. It's no point us just innovating for the sake of innovation. We want to have a purpose behind it, a why behind what we're doing. We're innovating for people. We're innovating both to attract, retain great people, help people feel alive in themselves, that they can contribute their skills. But also our customers, the people that we're innovating for ultimately, and also planets, the big P in that sense, that we're really thinking how whatever we do is going to have a positive impact on planet. So say we're looking at how we can be more productive, or how we take out waste out of systems, as much as whatever we might be creating that's new. So to really sort of think about those different aspects, I think is important when we're looking at relevance. Being relevant, being out in front, being willing to sort of have that courage to move things forward.
I absolutely love this and I want to unpack a little, or at least summarize here, because I think this is so important, because any company or any organization nowadays, like you're saying, I love how you organize this in these 3 Ps. They have to have clarity about their purpose, what their why, people that resonates internally within the organization and externally outside the organization. But having that purpose, that is one of the core thing in your own innovation model, knowing the purpose, why you are doing this. And then the people, all the stakeholders, from the workforce to the customers, and get them involved in the process and things, and the planet. We cannot ignore the planet. I like that. I don't know the exact quote, but there is no planet B. This is the planet that we have to live. And honestly, even with all the problems of this beautiful planet, Earth is much better than any of the alternatives that we have in the solar system. So I think we absolutely have to take better care of it. And the companies, the corporations have a very important role on it. And they can lead the way in many ways, because if we think of the corporate world, is bigger than any country, and it really can make a huge impact in the direction for the future. It makes business sense to think about the planet, to think about the people, and to live your purpose. So I really like that you put that in a so clear way too. And the other thing that you love to play with the concepts to be easy for people to see it, to see and to do something with it. And you have done that with your 6 eyes of innovation. And that is the other thing that I love about your work and reading your book, that shows the depth of your body of work on innovation, of the experience of being in the field for how many decades now?
Over 20. Well, not 20 decades, 20 years.
20 years, yes.
2 decades.
Yeah, that shows how they say you start working in organizations with the innovation, with the thing, but you and then as a consultant, you realize that you had to break it, the innovation process down in a way that people could understand and do something about. And you even have an assessment to assess what is the strength that the person has in relation to these 3 eyes or dimensions. So tell us a little bit about the 6 eyes of innovation. Why did you create it, and how this model can be so helpful?
Love to. My favorite subject, or one of them. Yeah, well, in terms of why I invented it, and if we wind back a few years, I was working as a corporate innovation director in a large research firm, responsible really for those sort of what we call that early stage innovation, of coming up with those new ideas, a lot about the creative problem solving process, design thinking, bringing people together to create new solutions, new products, new services, new things. And I could see that, it always works, these processes always work. But what was the big challenge was when the ideas went back into the organization, a lot of them just got stuck, or they got diluted of novelty, or, other priorities came on board and organizations moved on, and all that time, all that effort and energy that people had expended on creating these new ideas and solutions didn't go anywhere, or a lot of the time, not all the time, but definitely a lot of the time. So that really got me thinking then about why is it that ideas get stuck? Now, what are all the different reasons? And actually, a lot of them are due to the organizational culture, to systems, to leadership, lack of processes, lack of management, all these types of things. So I started to think what we needed was more of a shape of innovation that would still build on all the great things around creativity and design thinking, but really bringing that organizational element to the innovation journey, so that people would also not just think that innovators are the people who come up with ideas in terms of the creation of it, the creativity of it, but those that implement, just as important, those that are really good at implementation and driving ideas. So this really is what inspired me, was to look at it holistically. And so I created 6 eyes. They're all circles. So they're circles within a bigger circle. So we have identify, and it's paired with the mindset of curiosity. And identify is that open-mindedness that we need to be looking out to see what's changing in our environment, good at looking at patterns and trends, new opportunities, problems that need to be solved. So it's not so much an idea, it's usually a space in the mind that can spot an opportunity. And therefore we need to be curious, we need to have that mindset.
And before you keep going on the 6 eyes, because I want you to give that description, I just want to invite people that are listening to this, even if they are not, they are in an organization, how they apply this to their organizations, of course. But even entrepreneurs that have micro business, that even one person business, I think we can think about this model on how we are bringing new value and problem solving in our business. And I will even stretch this to the individual, because as individuals ourselves, we are problem solving in our lives all the time. And if we absorb these concepts of innovation, that as you describe in these 6 eyes of innovation, we can know where we get stuck more often than not. So with that in mind, is that first eye identify. That is, how do you say, seeing the trends. Be curious. I love that you speak about the mindsets. What is the ideal set that we have to have in terms of how we are looking to that allow us to identify the threads? And you identify being curious, being open to see what is out there. Like another guest that I had the privilege to interview in this show, he speaks about peripheral thinking, seeing beyond what is immediately, seeing beyond, and then connect dots and see how things can relate and the patterns. That is fascinating, but we have to be curious.
Absolutely. Got to have that mindset. And there are some of us that are really good at it, So on a skills perspective, some people are really good at identifying opportunities. They're very strategic, or they can see ahead. They're good at having this mindset and maybe some tools or ways of thinking. Oftentimes, though, the identifiers in teams and organizations will be seen to be a bit out there, they're a bit sort of come back down to earth to today, what we're focusing on right now. But so important for us to have and encourage that skill and mindset in organizational life.
Because usually they are seeing things that other people don't see.
Yeah.
So, and that is always interesting, how do you say, in the communication, because you also give communication tips, how to communicate with somebody that is so good in identify or have another strength, that there are specific ways to foster that and to make it more appealing. And speaking about fostering and appealing, I have my dog barking in the background, and it's one of the joys of the innovation of working and be able nowadays to work from home and even doing these interviews from our home studios. So with that said, let's keep going here so identify. Do you have anything to add for the identify, or should we move on to the other?
Yeah, one aspect on the model that is also very important is color. So identify, give the color blue. Blue is often associated with blue sky thinking or blue ocean. It's that expansiveness of mind. So yes, the color.
So you have a color for each of these stages. And for identify is blue. Is that expansion, maybe the ocean, the horizon? Love it. Okay. And what next?
Okay, so we have ignite. So ignite, I give the color red. Often when we think of igniting a car, or we think of ignite, lighting a match, you have that sort of flame. And ignite is when we get an idea. It's when something pops in our head and we go, that could work. We get excited maybe about an idea to a problem or an idea for an opportunity, but it's that creative spark, that moment of when we get that answer, if you like. And the mindset that I associate with this is creativity. And creativity, very important in the innovation journey. Because without creativity, it's just normal work, really, in that sense. So it's that real application of new ideas that's coming into our mind. And the igniters are often very good at coming up with the ideas, They can come up with hundreds of ideas before breakfast oftentimes. And I'm an igniter, so I sort of identify with this one. And it's a lot of juice, a lot of energy in this particular phase of the journey.
And this is one, I think, when people heard the word innovation, they think about creativity and they think about that ignite, that spark. Okay, you have to be innovating, you have to have new ideas. So that is part of the process there and something that people identify. But like you say so well, it's not just important to be creative by the sake of generating new ideas. The ideas have to solve some problem, mainly in the business world, to have a sense.
So if we can link the creative mind to the curious aspect of this, of opportunity, then we can actually hopefully address a real issue, a real opportunity or a real problem.
So is that you're starting to see how these things are connected, and you speak about that circle, because yes, we are telling them in a linear way, or you are describing them here and in the book, because it's how writing works. You start one and then two, but there is a back and forth. There is a dance between any of these.
Absolutely. There's iteration, and our minds work like that anyway. I think the more we become observant of how we think, the better we get at it in a way, because we can think, oh, where am I now? Which stage? Which stage of the journey, therefore, which mindset do I need to be wearing in that sense? So then we have investigate, and investigate, I give the color teal blue. It's more of an objective blue, if you like. And actually, in this stage of innovation, we need the critical mind. We need that critical mindset that's able to look at things and really unpack, is it going to work? How can I make it work? What are the upsides, the downsides of an idea? And so we need different skills. We need to be good at researching and testing and prototyping and validating ideas to see if they're going to be useful, not just novel. And the investigators amongst us are good at doing it. They've developed skills in this area. They have that critical mindset. But also we want to bring it in at the right stage. If we have too much of the critical mindset too early in the innovation journey, we can often kill the ideas before we even get going.
Fascinating. And the importance, mainly organizations, probably in a team, to have people representing this, because the investigating, usually people that are more that investigation type, that are strong on that, sometimes maybe are not as good as on the ignite, and you need both of them.
Or if they are, and I've seen this happen a few times, people who can be good at ignite and investigate, they can often be criticizing their own ideas all the time. They come up with that idea, oh no, I better not do that, can't do that, and can end up sort of in that stage of judgment so fast because they're good at doing that. So it's an important one when you start to realize what your own sort of skill set and mindset mix is like, because you become aware of what your strengths and your challenges, your blind spots can be as well.
And if you jump this phase of investigate, then you can really run into troubles, because if you went to the implementation phase too fast, and I see this happening in small business a lot because of the limited resources, then is the implementation that becomes the test. And sometimes if they had done a little bit of critical thinking or investigation, they could have saved a lot of resources.
And so the next I is all around invest. And invest, I give the color green. Green for growth, green for green light, go. And invest has the mindset of courage. So in this stage of the journey, whether it's our own personal courage about doing something different, or organizational courage or team courage, whatever it might be, we often have to step out. We often have to do something. We have to make a decision that we're going to try something new. And therefore, we do need to step into that courage to be able to do that. And the investors, the people that are not just good at maybe financial stuff or modeling or business planning, but those that can really adopt that mindset of courage to say, we are going to invest in this. We don't know all the answers. We've done as much investigation as we can, but at the end of the day, we're going to have to make a decision. And that is yes, no, maybe, but whatever it might be, it needs to be communicated.
And that willingness to take the risk without knowing exactly the outcome, taking the risk about it. And also stopping the perfectionism, because if you want to have everything to make the perfect decision, that will never going to happen. So again, the taking the risk and the willingness to fail, and sometimes not all the initiatives are going to be successful. So how can we learn from from things that don't work? And how can that help other innovations within the same organization? So it's identify the thread, ignite the ideas through creativity, investigate, invest, and have that courage to make that decision, a yes or no, and then what?
And then implementation, good old implement. And implement, I give the mindset of commitment. This is where the hard work of innovation really begins, because up until this point, it's really conceptual, a lot of it. I mean, yes, you'd be testing and prototyping and trying new things out or making decisions, but it's only at the stage of implement that we actually really get our hands dirty and start to build, start to create, start to get other people make, and often it gets bigger then than just us with our ideas. And so we have to have that mindset of commitment. And I give it the color purple because historically purple was one of the hardest colors to make. And I think that this is the hard graft. And it's interesting, just through my work, my research and application of this in the world, I often find people who are the implementers amongst us, who are really good at getting things done. They're good at building things, making things happen, often don't really see themselves as innovative. They think the innovative people are the igniters and they're just doing the work. And actually, one of the big messages of my book, Yes, You Can Innovate, and the model is the democratization of the innovation journey, that everybody has a role to play. And the implementers are just as important as any of the others, because they really are the people that actually make it happen.
Love it, love it, love it. And that power of commitment, of inspire others to get things done. And if you have the right, identify the right idea that is going to solve the problem, and you have some, the courage of the organization to try it, and any people that implement it, is when things really the magic can come to life, so to speak. It's not just the idea of the magic, but it's the results of the idea that come to fruition. But you don't stay there. You still have another step.
Yes. And this one's an interesting one because it's improve. And I give it the mindset of clever, of being clever. And why do I do that? I think oftentimes we miss out on things that are really relatively easy for us to do. If only we could perceive it differently, looking at something we're already doing, seeing how it could be better, how it could be different. So I give that mindset of being clever, but also that sense of improvement, continuous improvement, of thinking all the time, is there a better way? Is there a different way? And all of the value that you have already, if only you can look at it and say, wow, what else could I do with all of this? And I give it the color orange because there's still a vibrancy similar to red of new ideas coming through, but they might not be as original always as, say, you might find in the ignite phase. So it's such an important part of the journey. And like you said earlier, it's not just we go identify, ignite, investigate, invest, implement, and improve. We will move backwards and forwards and iterate through the triangles that link each of the eyes to the center of purpose, which is right in the center of the model. And the two little triangles represent processes and culture. So we need to be thinking about what process will help me or help us in each of these stages, and what cultural environment do we need to cultivate so that people can do this. Otherwise, you could have loads of igniters, for example, in a culture that kills creativity. It doesn't matter how many igniters you've got. They're not going to ignite after a while because the culture is going to kill it dead. And same with, say, with implementation and commitment. You need a culture of great project management and discipline, and being able to manage your idea flow so that you know where things are and what's happening and who's working on what. So we need very different, discrete skill sets and mindsets really to help us make innovation work as a whole, as a holistic journey.
And I love that you put purpose on the center, because without that why is this idea, why is this trend that was identified, the ideas that were generated, all the research that is need to be done to see what is viable or not, the courage, how to say, if you have a strong why, is easier to, with a yes or no, to take that risk. And then is also the fuel, the energizer for the implementation to keep that commitment going. And then also the motivation to keep improving and improving from it. So really essential.
Yes, purpose can be multi-layered. You know, we can have our own individual purpose. What's my why? Our team purpose, you know, why do we exist? You know, our project purpose, or we're working with other people, and our organizational purpose, the bigger purpose for which we're all trying, hopefully, to strive towards. So I think it's quite useful thinking, well, what level of purpose are we working at? And therefore, how do we use the dynamism of the model to sort of know where to go next and what to do, and, you know, what's emerging for you at whatever level you're working.
So I think if somebody is listening to our conversation here and they want to know more, of course, getting your book, yes, you can innovate, because even like you say, if you are an implementer at art, your biggest strength, you still can be a great innovator. So, but where else can they learn about you and about this process and bring you as a speaker to their organization? So tell us a little bit more how people can learn more and contact you.
Thank you. Thanks, Anna. Well, please contact me on LinkedIn. That's always a good place. So it's Natalie Turner 1 on LinkedIn. The main website for the 6 I's is 6-I-innovation.com. And on there, we have an overview of the different services we provide. We run a certification program that's like train the trainer for those that work in leadership or organizational development or innovation management. And then my speaker site is natalie-turner.net. And on there, you can find different examples of speeches and the subjects that I speak on, which are all around enthusing and motivating and driving innovation into organizational life. So that's a few ways that people can contact me.
And I will make sure that all the links will show up on the show notes of this episode. And thank you so much for your time. Hopefully we'll ignite here some ideas and some innovators out there to make an impact in this world.
Thank you, Anna. It's been lovely to be here with you.
Expanding possibilities, the mindset zone.
Thank you for listening, and remember to visit mindset.zone. Yes, instead of .com, it's .zone. There you can find all the episodes and other amazing resources, all at mindset.zone. As always, I'm so grateful you are here. Expand what's possible for you, for the ones around you, for the world.